Well, thank you for joining me on exercise 6E. I'm looking at question 2B. Question 2B says, complete the following table. So we've got sine theta is blank. We've got cos theta is blank. We've got tan theta is blank. But we're told our theta is 11 pi on 6. Well, let's have a look at 11 pi over 6. And just so that you know what my resources I'm going to be using in this question, I'm going to be using the resource that you know, the cast rule, that all of them are positive in quadrant 1. Only sine is positive in quadrant 2. That tan is positive in quadrant 3, and only cos is positive in quadrant 4. So it's important to know what quadrant. Then I like to use, and I may not use it in every case, but the quadrant rules, theta, 180 minus theta. Theta is the acute angle, always from the x-axis. 180 plus theta, 360 minus theta, or negative theta. Of course, if it's just radians, we would say pi minus theta, we would say pi plus theta, or we would say 2 pi minus theta. So depending whether we're dealing with radians or degrees. And I would also use the concept of the equilateral triangle. Let's try to draw an equilateral triangle. And the concept of a square, where we use the equilateral triangle is used for 60 degrees, 60 degrees, and 60 degrees. And the square is used for, because the diagonal is for 45 degrees. Or we're dealing with pi on 4s, or we're dealing with, let's just put a degree sign there, or we're using pi on 3s. But for the triangle, we use a 2, 2, 2 triangle. For the square, we use a 1, 1, 1 triangle. And if you know Pythagoras' theorem, you split that into 2 triangles. So we've got 2, 2. And down here, we would have a side of 1 and 1 here. And this side, we would calculate to be root 3 if you knew Pythagoras' theorem. 1 squared plus what squared equals 2 squared, and you'd get 1 plus b squared equals 4. Therefore, b squared equals 3, so b equals the square root of 3. And here we've got sides 1, 1, and you'd go 1 squared plus 1 squared equals c squared, and therefore our hypotenuse will be 2 equals c squared, so c is the square root of 2. So we use the square root of 2 for 45 degree angles. Right. There's my resources. Let's start. Now, 11 pi over 6. Well, where is 11 pi over 6? Remember a previous exercise? If you have 11 pi over 6, each clock position is like pi over 6, 30 degrees. And if you go 11, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pi over 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pi over 6 takes us, 11 pi over 6 takes us into quadrant 4. That's important because now we know straight away, we know sine is going to be negative because it's in the 4th quadrant. We know cos is going to be positive because it's in the 4th quadrant. We know tan is going to be negative. So only cos is positive in quadrant 4. Now I'm going to use this concept here to get 11 pi over 6. Theta is which rule? Well, if I go to this rule here, 2 pi minus pi over 6, that is what 11 pi over 6 is. So that's the same as 11 pi over 6. It's 12 pi over 6. So 12 pi over 6, that's 2 pi, minus 1 pi over 6, that's 11 pi over 6. So by putting it into this format, we can see that the acute angle is pi over 6. So the acute angle is pi over 6. Therefore, sine of 11 pi over 6 is negative sine of pi over 6. Well, what is sine of pi over 6? Let's come into our triangle now, and this is the triangle that we're going to use because we don't have 45 degrees. And here is pi over 6 right there. It's 30 degrees. Sine of pi over 6 is the opposite over hypotenuse. So we get the opposite side is 1 and the hypotenuse side is 2. So we know that is a half or 0.5. Now let's do cos of pi over 6. So negative a half. So that is because sine of 11 pi over 6 is the negative. Now cos of 11 pi over 6 is positive cos pi over 6, the acute angle. And pi over 6 is adjacent over hypotenuse, and the adjacent is in fact root 3 over 2. And that's like saying 1.73 over 2. It's about 0.866. These are numbers you'll get familiar with. And it's positive 0.866. And finally, tan of 11 pi over 6. Tan of 11 pi over 6 is negative because it's in the fourth quadrant. The same as our acute angle. And our acute angle for pi over 6 is the opposite over adjacent. So you go into the triangle, the opposite side is 1, and the adjacent side is root 3. Now 1 over root 3 is, you can use your calculator here. I don't have a calculator on the screen. I really need to get that ready for future questions. But if you want to go to your calculator and just tap in on your calculator, 1 divided by root 3, 1 divided by, I'm doing it now, root 3, you get 1 divided by 1.732, and you get to 3 significant figures, 577. So that's negative 0.577. I've got to put the negative sign in here. So that's negative 0.577. That was negative 0.5. Okay, there it is. Notice sine is negative because it's quadrant 4. Notice cos is positive because it's quadrant 4. Notice tan is negative because it's quadrant 4. And realize we found out that 11 pi over 6 has an acute angle of pi over 6. That's why you've got to know how to get your acute angle, because pi over 6 is 30 degrees. And in the triangle, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, 1 over 2. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, root 3 over 2. And tan is opposite over adjacent, 1 over root 3. And that's how you get your values. So I hope this has helped. Until next time, stay happy.